game of football as they wanted it to be, and that's a compliment to them because we didn't came into our rhythm. They were really aggressive, trying to make sure we couldn't bring the ball out from the back. And the moments we could, they defended really well in and around their box. And so yeah, it was the game went their way. Let's put it that way.
So did you get locked into quite a direct match? Were you maybe not brave enough bringing the ball out through their pressure, their high pressure?
I wouldn't say not brave enough, but they went man for man in a high press, and they have players that are very strong and good in the duels. So I think Dan Burn won every header and every duel he went for, including the goal he scored. And it's not only him. I think a very good game plan from them and a deserved win for Newcastle.
How much of a problem were their set pieces? The tactic seemed to be to hit them set pieces deep and almost take Virgil and Canate out of the game, if you like.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But normally then the header is also quite far away. But again, the game went their way in a sense that we played the game like they would prefer the game to go. So there were a lot of free kicks, set pieces, and they are and were today really strong in that. And that also led to the first goal. And the second goal was a cross from the side. And again, they are taller, maybe stronger in the duels, heading duels. And both goals came from that.
So what could you have done differently? What could you have done to make it your type of game and not their type of game?
Yeah, then we have to be better with the ball, which is not so easy. But then the moment you do have the ball, you have to create more, and then you are always waiting for a moment, maybe where the game can go your way, where maybe a bit more space opens up. But if you're then just before halftime going 1-0 down, normally in a game like this, in the second half or in the end of the first half, it opens up a bit more. But now, of course, we gave them the positive mindset by being 1-0 up. And not long after the break, they made it 2-0. So that then, yeah, they're just going to fight even harder for every second, every ball. And we did have one or two chances, but altogether, Newcastle deserved to win.
Does Tuesday play a part in today, whether it's in terms of energy, emotion, mentality? Not at all.
No. These two games are exactly the opposite from each other. So you cannot compare these two games at all. All the things I've said about the game about Tuesday are exactly the opposite tonight.
But does Tuesday kind of knock you flat, going out of that competition, giving so much and losing such a good game? Is there almost a hangover today, I guess is what I'm asking?
No. Then that would not do justice to Newcastle. The game went the way they wanted it to be, and it wasn't about energy. Normally, energy you mostly see in your pressing part, but there was nothing to press because they played over press, which was very smart and a good idea. And that's why I constantly keep repeating myself, saying that they deserved this win.
After the season you've had, I mean, it's gone perfectly, really, up until this week. Does it feel like, has it knocked you flat? Has it felt like it's come out of the blue almost?
No, because I knew the quality of Paris Saint-Germain. I also know how difficult it is to play against this playing style. And we started the week off by winning against Southampton, in which we extended our lead to 12 points. So it wasn't all bad what happened this week. Southampton was a good win. That's why we extended the lead to 12 points. Paris Saint-Germain, great game of football. Today, I don't think anyone that's a Liverpool fan was happy about what they saw. But yeah, that sometimes unfortunately happens as well, and it's not the first time that we have some difficulties with Newcastle, because the first game when we played there was similar to this one, was a real hard one for us as well.
How big is the job ahead then? 9 games to go in the Premier League. Obviously that one big prize still to go for. How big a job for you to pick your players up in, I think it's 15, 16 days time, and go again for what's left?
First of all, they go to the national teams now, and then when they come back, we've got a fantastic game again to play with Everton at home. So we know the importance of the upcoming 9 games. We know that we have to do certain things better, which is normal. But during this season, we've done so many things right. So if we are back in 2.5 weeks for the Premier League, we will be ready to face Everton.
Thank you, Arne.
You're welcome.
What do you want to unpick from that?
I find it difficult to be too critical of the team. I must say that's one of the worst performances I've seen from Liverpool in a cup final, probably going back for a very long time. But they've given so much this season, and probably in a position in terms of the league title where no one really expected. They've lost one league game. They've lost here tonight, and they've lost one Champions League game, really. I mean, they've lost in the FA Cup and maybe a dead rubber in the Champions League. But in the main, I think they've probably lost 3 or 4 games that they've really wanted to win all season. So I think what this last week has done is probably shone a light on where Liverpool still need to improve in. And I think the lack of pace in the team, I think, is glaring in the attack. And I almost feel a little bit sorry for Mo Salah, because he's taken a little bit of criticism after the 2 Paris Saint-Germain games, because he was up against possibly the best left-back in the world in Mendes, who was fantastic. He didn't do too much. He wasn't great today, but he doesn't get help off the other attackers. This is not like it was under Jurgen Klopp, where Mane could bail Liverpool out of trouble, or Firmino. The other attackers Liverpool have got are good players. They're not great players. And they've relied on him so far. So I don't want to see too much criticism for Mo Salah over this last week. What it's shone a light in is that Liverpool need to go and buy 2 attackers, not as squad players, possibly to play alongside Mo Salah, hopefully, for next season. So I think that's what's happened in the last week. I've been excited, thinking, looks like Liverpool are going to win the league, and there's still lots to improve. So I'm not just saying this on the back of the team losing, but I still think there's a lot of areas for Liverpool to improve, and I think they will in the summer.
He said taller, stronger, and when referring to Newcastle, and they were clever in their game plan today in going long, which gave Liverpool nothing to press. If you are an opposition manager going forward, if you're David Moyes ahead of the Merseyside derby, are you taking note of that?
Well, they'll do that anyway, Everton. That's obviously.
Well, yeah, my
they'll
point,
make
exactly,
it really difficult for them. But he stood next to you 2 guys, and he bumped into you, and he said there's going to be a lot of those sort of collisions, and that's something you have to always take into consideration. But I wasn't surprised about Newcastle play today, and I don't think for 1 second that Liverpool would have been. I don't think he wanted to take away anything from what they did. They played so well, but I don't for 1 second think that result on Tuesday, going at 120 minutes, extra time, losing on penalties, how tired and difficult it would have been to go again. And he went with us pretty much the same team, but you've also taken out such a lot of their creativity about Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, because he will just create one thing. I looked at Liverpool today and thought, where's that bit of spark, that creativity going to come from? They really missed him as well. Gakpo's obviously not quite right at the moment. But again, you can't take anything away from what Newcastle did. They were magnificent. I remember I spoke to Jason Tinder before the game. He went, it couldn't have gone better for us, really. The fact that they had to go through the wire on Tuesday and make it so difficult for them, they felt they could use that to advantage if they started well and got after Liverpool, and that's exactly what they did.
I think a big thing this season that stood out, and it's probably come back to bite him on the backside a little bit today, the manager. He doesn't change the team. Now we're getting used to the manager. We don't know if this is his way that he's always done, when he just picks his best team, and it's probably put Liverpool in a great position to win the league title. It also shows you that in this league as well, they almost look like they're running out of steam and legs, and the fact that he's very reticent to change the team or give the head to some players who don't normally play week in, week out, meant he still almost played his best team against Southampton, one of the worst teams we've seen in the Premier League. It was at Anfield, because he still felt, I can't take the risk in terms of maybe bringing players off the bench to play in this game. So that's something I think going forward in terms of improving the squad, so he can actually change players like Gravenberch, who looked tired today, Szoboszlai, McAllister. He never changes that midfield, really. And again, that's probably something he's got to learn next season. He's got to probably trust the squad a little bit more, that if they want to go further in the Champions League.
The last time we did that, it got knocked out against Plymouth. So he probably thinks, I can't really trust.
No, that was changing 10 players.
Well, I know, but James, if he leaves out a load of players today and they lose, we stand here and go, well, why has he done that today? So you can't really win, can you?
No, I'm talking about maybe changing 2 or 3 players and he plays his best team almost every game, and that's put Liverpool in the position that they are. But I think going forward, if Liverpool want to obviously go further in the Champions League, I do think he's probably got to be a little bit braver with his squad, but that will come with basically better players in his squad.
Everybody in football is guilty of this. You're 90 minutes away from glory, you're 90 minutes away from a catastrophe, you know what I mean? Like the roof's caving in and everything. is his biggest task over the next 10 days or whatever, with players away on international duty, just to make sure everything just stays calm. You know, they've got a 12-point lead at the top of the Premier League.
At the start,
not everything is caving in.
No, well, at the start of the week we were talking about them doing it, the possibility of them doing a treble, and within a week they're now just looking at the league, and you know, fatigue and as you said, that game took so much out of them on Tuesday night. And coming here today, I was thinking to myself, you know, Newcastle, if they could get at them, you're the manager, you're thinking, well, okay, we've gone out, but what better game could you go into today, playing in a cup final, to lift your players again? If it was a league game, you would have probably gone, yeah, changed 2 or 3 players, but because it was a cup final, you was probably thinking, you know, your energy is going to come from that. So I wouldn't criticise him too much for not changing the team. It was when it started to go wrong, how quickly he didn't change it quick enough for me. It was he probably could have done it a bit quicker to get some more fresh legs on there. But at the start, I would have probably gone with the same side, because I would have thought probably they could get lifted.
Yeah, I mean, take nothing away from their manager. I mean, the job he's done has been phenomenal. I know they've had a disappointing week. Les is right. You know, treble at the start of the week. Now they're only on for the Premier League. But if you said to any Liverpool fan at the start of this season, you'll win the Premier League and nothing else, they would have snapped your hands off. They really would, because Jurgen Klopp was at the club for 8 years, and everyone was nervous. Going, who's this guy coming in? There's going to be a massive drop off. You know, panic stations. What's going to happen? He's came in. He's added maybe 1 player, Chiesa, I think it is. Not many players extra. He's worked with the squad he's been given. And the job he's done in the Premier League is just phenomenal. So you've got to give this guy great credit for what he's done.
I think what Shay says there is important. Even if you were Man City or Chelsea, who notoriously have won a lot of Premier League titles, he said that about any manager, you're going to win the league. No matter what else happens, you bite your hand off. But we're talking about Liverpool. They've won it once in 35 years now. So, I mean, the Premier League is absolutely massive to this club and what they could do, and it still is going to be, fingers crossed, if everything goes to plan, an unbelievable season, because we aren't a club, unfortunately, that have, in sort of the last 30 years, have won titles every few years. It hasn't happened, so it could be still a very special season.
You know,
amazing.
Everybody's come through other than your friend.
I remember when he was at Sociedad, Adnan Januzaj told me, ex-Man United, since it's your team, you remember, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, he told me we have a player at Sociedad that's very, very, very good, and he was talking about obviously Alexander Isak, and I said, okay, let's see. Like I always say, if you call that people say that you're good, or you call yourself good, you gotta deliver. And right now, this is what he's doing. He arrived in the Premier League and he's been delivering. Hopefully, he can stay at Newcastle for them. Wow.
You mentioned before kind of spinning it forward. Where do they go from here? What do you think the future looks like for Newcastle? Is this a team that we should now be expecting to qualify for the Champions League season in, season out? Should we be expecting them to push for trophies?
I think it's tough, isn't it? Remember when they was in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago? They did very well. Remember that PSG game where, I mean, it was electric. But to say season in, season out, it depends. Financial fair play has been difficult for a lot of teams. They've obviously got a lot of backing, they've got a lot of money, but they can't spend it. I think the key thing for Newcastle now is just keep your key players. You've got to sign Isak. Get him tied down for as long as possible, and then you work off that basis. I think in terms of, yes, they will want to be thinking Champions League every season, but I think moments like this where you win something gives you the belief and you get the players in the summer, I think they've got a really good chance. I mean, this season's going to be difficult because, I mean, the likes of Nottingham Forest, we wouldn't normally see. Bournemouth are doing really well. Fulham got another good result as well. Man City have been off. It would normally be 1 or 2 in the league, so it's difficult. But I just love watching them play. I love the manager, I love the energy, I love the fans, everything about the club is just fantastic, and I just hope, you know, they get the right investment.
Look, we all know that they do have money. We all know that they have a good group, they have a good coach, a good staff. But if I was playing in that team right now and at the level of Isaac, of Guimaraes, or you know, Dan Burn, or whoever that looked like they might be on the radar from some other team, but what's the plan? Like, who's coming? But what, you know, we did this. We the team that we had, okay. But what's the plan in the future?
To be able to compete consistently, are you saying they need more?
I don't know what they're going to bring or not. But we're going to have to sit and who are you bringing? What's next? You know, I've seen the growth of Man City. You were there at the beginning. Players were coming, leaving, and at one point you see Company was staying, and you're like, oh, hang on a minute.
Yes.
And then another guy was staying, and then they go and get David Silva, and then suddenly Kevin De Bruyne arrived. And you know, what are you going to bring for me to see that this is real? No disrespect to no one. I'm just saying that. And like I said, then and Isaac will stay, then Gumaresh will stay, and then a lot of people can be in trouble if they're starting to build like that and carry on doing what they're doing right now. I mean, it's today. Look, it's a cup game. They're going to have to make sure that they go in and qualify in a Champions League, which we all know in this league is not an easy task. But what are the plan and see if you're going to sign or not and stay very long with this team.
If you're watching our pre-game, you would have seen CBS commentator Ray Hudson telling us about what it means to him to be a Newcastle fan and what it would mean to win a trophy. There you go. There's the end result.
Go on, Ray!
He's going to have a nice bottle of wine. Congrats, Ray. We're very happy for you.
Why is he not here, Ray? Why is he not here?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Ask the big man, ask the boss. We've also updated our trophy cabinet graphic that we showed you in the pre-game, which had all those cobwebs on, which we said was a bit mean. We've taken the cobwebs off, we've dusted it off, and we've added, yes, the 2025 EFL Cup winner.
You disrespected Newcastle a little bit, didn't you, with them cobwebs?
Not me, the production. Should we say that? Let's pass that along to production. Don't look at me. Meanwhile, can we welcome in a couple more of our family members who decided to join us? Nigel and Nita. What's good? Anita, wanted to talk to you about Liverpool and the fact that you guys were able to be over in the tunnel as Liverpool were going back in there towards the dressing room. Did you get to speak to anybody? What was the emotion?
Yeah, as you can imagine, some long faces, not happy. It's been a very tough week for them. I spoke to Arne. He said, well, they started well, beating Southampton, extending their lead in the Premier League to 12 points over second place Arsenal, but doesn't feel good with that loss and knockout of the Champions League. And then today he said that Newcastle had a completely different approach to what they'd seen just over 2 weeks ago in the league. He said they were more aggressive, they wanted it more at times, which I guess is damning. And he said for the final 9 games of Liverpool's season, they cannot play like today, even though they have such a huge lead over Arsenal.
As an Arsenal fan, does it make you wish that the season was maybe a little bit longer, watching kind of Liverpool's performances this week?
That's how it is. What do you want, more games? That's how it is. You have to win your games. You already know. You ask me a question, I answer it. You know, like the answer of a football game. It's 38 games. That's how it is. You don't have to, I wish it was 5 more games. No. You have to give them the credit. The 12 points ahead. So let's see. I said earlier, I don't see it happening apart if they implode. But no, I don't wish any more games. That's how it is.
Did this result just make it a little bit more difficult, though, for Liverpool to pull themselves out of this? I don't know if you call it a slump. It's 2 games. I understand that. But still, two games that will leave them with something to shake off.
I do look. I feel a bit worried. I feel they'll still get it done. But then the next fixture in the Premier League is against Everton. And Everton are a different animal now under David Moyes. And you talk about 2 bad results, and the performances have been very consistent in the lack of creativity in the final third. I got to speak to Andy Robertson, and he was very open about it. Nothing's worse than interviewing a player after they lose a game, especially in a team that wants to win. And he was saying that they were the better side, and that's not really good enough for Liverpool and where they want to be. But I'm very worried about the lack of creativity we're starting to see now when they're going to face a tough Everton side.
Worried in what way?
Worried for me that there's not enough creativity, and if Mo Salah's not performing, your talisman, that they're not creating things in the final third. Today, Newcastle were the better side. Newcastle truly deserved to win that game today. Didn't see anything much from Liverpool. I saw a very similar performance against Paris Saint-Germain. Obviously, yes, I was going to say but that's Paris Saint-Germain, but still, you're at Liverpool. You've got to at least show something, some teeth in the final third. That's really missing.
How deflated did the Liverpool players seem?
Oh, extremely deflated. I think it was Virgil van Dijk who actually went into the tunnel first, that didn't want to talk to anyone. As you mentioned, straight after a loss, your head's probably a bit hot. You don't want to be having questions thrown at you. But it's really interesting because it almost feels like it's put a dampener on what has been an incredible debut season for Arne Slot. He came in, people doubted whether he could do what Jurgen Klopp had done over so many campaigns in the Premier League. He's managed to get to a final here, albeit they didn't win. They lost against a very good Paris Saint-Germain team. Overall, it's been an incredible first season in the Premier League. So many managers would dream of that.
I would say, Thierry, you've been a manager and a coach. If you're in Arne Slot's position right now, is it straight tunnel vision to win the Premier League?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, I've been in that situation as a player. We lost against Chelsea in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, lost against Man United in the semi-final of the Cup. The boss changed the team. I don't know why, by the way, boss. But anyway, and then we had to react to win the league and stay unbeaten. So that's how it is. Focus on what you have in front of you.
Just stay unbeaten, yeah.
No, I'm not talking about us. We did. That's done. But it's more them.
Have we all enjoyed our day?
You know, I've absolutely loved it. You know, I'm loving this team. You know what? I normally compliment Kay, and she always looks great, doesn't she? But this is absolutely fantastic. What is this?
It's very bad. Don't come for me.
What is it?
I'm just saying, what is it?
It's flying. Look, whatever it is, it's flying out there.
Is it real?
No, it's faux fur, guys. Come on now. This is 2025. Also, Jason Tindall gave me a scarf, by the way. I'll leave to a Newcastle fan.
It feels real. I felt it.
What?
Just don't get too close because it'll be sticking on you.
Magnificent.
Compliment from Micah Richards, the fashionista of the team.
Ooh, fashionista, eh?
Excuse us?
Don't take it too far. Don't take it that
did
far.
you hear the intonation in my voice? I didn't actually mean it.
Yeah.
Being sarcastic.
Michael, I'm just happy that button's staying on
All right,
today.
everybody, we're going to have to jump off air. So thank you so much for joining us. We do hope you enjoyed the game. Hope you enjoyed the coverage too. It's been fun to be with all of you. And we will see you guys next time. Champions League, I think, is the next one for us.
Yes.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Jamie Carragher, the set pieces, as Eddie said, they may not have done them very well in practice, but they caused Liverpool problems today.
Well, it shows the detail that's gone into it. He said they've been working on it for 2 weeks, so, with the games in and around that, of course. But the big thing whenever you play against Liverpool is keep the ball away from Virgil van Dijk, and that's what they did. And listen, we can talk about who's up against it, but to score a header from there, it doesn't happen too often. It's a brilliant header. But I do think with the success that Dan Burn was getting through the game, Liverpool could have definitely altered things and changed things on that. But it's a great delivery, and from Dan Burn to put it in from there, it's a brilliant header.
I just think Liverpool got it completely wrong with that setup. When you look at McAllister, he has no idea what to do with him. He's not able to get close enough to block him. It is an absolute mismatch. I wasn't the best in the air, but I certainly know someone that was good. If you've got that situation, for you, that's like Christmas Day, right?
That's what you're hoping for, as a forward, as a defender, someone to turn their back on you and you get a run on them. It's a mismatch, and but then you've got to put it in the back of the net, and that's what Dan Burn did. It was an unbelievable header, fantastic.
Let's just look at the second goal as well. In fact, and Newcastle had one ruled out for offside shortly before Alexander Isak put this in.
Yeah, this is brilliant finish. Jimmy mentioned upstairs about watching Isak's movement. It's well worked down the left-hand side, and if you watch Isak's movement, he just peels away from Van Dijk. A brilliant header at the back post from Murphy, but this is a movement of a top striker. That's why lots of clubs are saying we want Alexander Isak. We just keep an eye on him in the middle of the picture there. Watch the way he moves away from Van Dijk now. Just gives himself a couple of yards, and on his right foot, that's not an easy finish. Watch when it bounces down here, Mark. It's just bouncing up to keep that control, to keep that down. That's a brilliant finish.
And the pace he gets at, Les, he manages somehow to just... It is really quick to create that pace up. We've got to be quick here, Les.
We were talking about it, it didn't have a lot of time. It didn't have many touches in the game, but that was the one touch he needed, and it was fantastic.
Okay, 2025 Carabao Cup, and the fans are still here, and the noise hasn't gone down, and I've no idea whether you can hear me or not, but you've had quite a good week, haven't you?
Not bad. Yeah. I've had worse weeks. I don't really want to go to sleep because I feel like I'm dreaming, and it's all going to be a lie, but we'll see.
That was the third corner that had come your way. Yeah. And as it came your way, did your eyes light up?
Yeah, I think so. I knew that Alexis was...
He's from
I knew Alexis wasn't looking at the ball, so I'd be able to get a good jump on him. And as soon as I headed it, I knew it was in. It was just one of them, but I don't get many, so at least I've saved it for a big occasion.
Well, we can show it you, and Eddie Howe was here talking to us earlier. He said it hadn't necessarily gone that way in practice.
He said mixed. I've heard mixed.
Mixed.
No, mixed, but I think, I feel sometimes that I get around a lot of bodies and it's sometimes hard to get free, but Barnesy helped us with Alexis here just to put him off a little bit, and then just met it and good connection.
I know we talk about the week that you've had, and you called up to the England team. You were one of the first players, and we talked to Eddie about this, who came in that January transfer window, and you're back at your local club. Can you put it all into words?
No, definitely not. I feel strange at the minute. I feel numb. It's hard to put anything into words at the minute, really, to be honest.
I'm not ignoring you. I just had to.
I think it's his game. I think he was brilliant. I mean, if he can score goals, that's great. But the way he defends and the way he wins every duel, that's really, it sets the foundation for us to be able to perform as well.
When you see this, and obviously you've come into the club not from the area like down, and you see this, and you feel that emotion, what do you think of all of this?
It's amazing, honestly, and I think this is really just the start. I think we'll see so much more from the fans and how much it means for the people. Obviously, once we get back to Newcastle and so, but we're all aware of how much it means and how long it's been without a trophy. So for us to be able to give the fans that is.
You had one disallowed goal, which you weren't offside actually. It was Bruno Guimaraes who was offside, deemed to have been putting off Kevin Carragher. So this could have stood depending on the perception of whether he was putting Carragher off or not.
Yeah, I know. I tried to tell the referee that it wasn't
I
offside.
Should have scored that, to be fair.
Well, I didn't like to say, Dan, but
couldn't get a brace, like.
So, no, it's one of those moments where a bit unlucky, but worked out well.
You put that out of your mind very quickly because less than 2 minutes later, and you put Newcastle 2 up.
Yeah, I think these games are about moments, and it's not necessarily about playing really good as a striker. It's about when you get the chance to be ready and to finish it off.
I was just going to say how you felt about that strike, because as you said, we were saying that was going to be a big matchup today, you against Van Dijk, and how it would happen. Probably didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen, but I thought that was an unbelievable strike coming back for someone who hadn't touched the ball as much as you probably wanted to in the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think first half was probably a bit frustrating for me. I didn't really have much to work on. But I kept telling myself, and many of the teammates and the staff also told me in half-time that my moment was going to come and I had to be ready. So that was really my mindset. And when I got the chance, I put it in the back of the net. So amazing. Yeah.
What's quite refreshing to hear you say at the very start of the interview is, Alexander, this is the start of something great. So the future, I mean, I said off air as well, said about this is the springboard for the club to go on to the next level, to get more trophies, because you have, these fans have deserved this. It's a long wait, 70 years, and you guys have produced today.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you've been without a trophy for such a long time, it can be in the back of your head. Yeah. But obviously, when we now won this, hopefully it's just bright days in front of us.
Yeah.
Do you? I just want to show you one other thing in that second half, which was you going on an overlap for about 80 yards. But what it highlighted was the intensity that you as a team had from start to finish.
I think we've talked about it before the game, that we've been really slow starting second halves and really invited pressure onto ourselves, so we didn't want to take a backward step. And I think it's more just a mentality. I know the gaffer probably was screaming at us to get back, but
you trying to get your running stats up or something?
So were we. We were screaming at you to get
What's he doing? What's he doing?
Should have slid it in, to be fair.
Dan, as weeks go, it's as good as it gets, and getting England called up, win the Carabao Cup. But I've heard there's a little bit of bad news that you're not going to be on a trip to Dubai this week.
I tainted it a little bit, but we're definitely taking England call up.
I won't go as well, eh?
Over to Dubai.
Are you going?
No.
No, I'm not going.
He's going to national as well. I was saying to the lads that would have to make a pact that no one would go on international duty, we'd all go to Dubai, but I'm not trying to do that.
Exactly. Thomas, if you can maybe train out there.
Is it tomorrow? When do you join up?
Tomorrow morning.
Right.
So
you don't get a pass, do you?
No, definitely not. I'll be there early doors. Maybe the first one there. 8 o'clock.
How nerve-wracking did you both find the last 10 minutes or so?
I think probably a bit more nerve-wracking for me because I was off the pitch.
Yeah.
But I felt like there was a situation where there was a handball, and he probably should have blew that, called it straight away. But then it was a goal, and it's always tough to sit and watch. But I think the lads that came on really handled it well, and obviously the ones who played as well.
I thought we sorted out well, to be fair, the last few minutes, keeping it in the corner. I think we've struggled with that in the past. And I felt comfortable for a lot of it, but you always know when Liverpool have got the quality to get a goal.
Right, take your trophy. Thank you very much, mate. This is what's happening in your changing room at the moment, which hopefully you can see on the screen here.
Let's get the sun up.
You're not allowed any of that.
I'm not allowed that. I'm not allowed that.
But you all, you go back and enjoy your dressing room, get yourselves warm. Congratulations. See you soon, Dan. Thank you, Alexander, as well. And Jamie, as they all go back, saying,
have a great week this week.
That intensity, Jamie, and that run highlighted probably the difference in the two teams. Through again, through no fault of Liverpool's, coming off the back of Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, I mean, I just think physically, under Eddie Howe, Newcastle have been a physical, powerful team, intensity, press and playing with pace. They've probably been a little bit inconsistent this season in terms of how they've played in the past years. And they probably haven't come in the best of forms, but they've just saved the best until now. Now, Eddie Howe mentioned to us as well that it wasn't a great footballing game. It wasn't. But I think a lot of that was a deliberate ploy from Newcastle, because they're probably looking at Liverpool in the last sort of 3-4 weeks, not themselves really in terms of getting some results, not performing really well, but they just couldn't cope intense-wise. And I think there's a lack of pace in the Liverpool front three. That's something that we can maybe, if we get to, listen, it's not Liverpool's day, it's all about Newcastle, but I think that's shone a light on Liverpool a little bit today, that there's a serious lack of pace at times in certain areas of the pitch. But in terms of physically, set piece wise, duels in the middle of the park, people making runs like Dan Burn, Isaac, Liverpool couldn't cope physically.
It was incredible to hear a manager as well, quite refreshing to say that we didn't want to show our hand in a league game a few weeks ago. And it was a brilliant question from you, Mark, because it was something that you very rarely hear a manager say, because I think Alexander Isak didn't play that day, and the way that they maybe set up, just not showing too much of what they were trying to do. And they've built everything up, because their form leading up to this hasn't been probably perfect. Obviously going out the FA Cup, injuries, but the way they responded to that little bit of adversity, it made no difference to them whatsoever.
Dan Burn and Alexander Isak have